I bought this clock off of eBay back in April for $68.61. Here's one they just sold where they were asking $750. Best offer was accepted. Here's one that they paid $742 for, but that one's it's new old stock. It's Schmeckenbecher made cuckoo clocks from 1948 to the mid-90s. This thing was made and sit in a box for 25 plus years. I doubt if it worked because oil is going to dry up. Here's one that sold for $150 plus $64. This is the one that I bought. I take that back. Somebody got a better deal on that one. $125. And I believe that's all of them. But I think I did pretty good with mine. Even though it needs some work. I only paid, like I said, $68. If I can double my money, triple my money, I think I did really well. And so, this is the clock that we're going to be working on. I'd have to look at my pictures, but it's missing a shutter. Somebody made the hole way too big for the cuckoo bird. I didn't know this, but that's a beer mug. Why they would put a beer mug versus the Zeppler player like most musical cuckoo clocks have, I have no idea. But of course it's missing the fence. And this top section here is messed up. I'm not for sure. It does have the back door, but it's a Schmeckenbecher clock. You see that? Regular 25, but there is no date code. So that means that this clock was made before 1970. And so, the other clocks I showed you were probably made in the 70s. I'd have to research them. But, these are pretty sought after clocks, beer drinker clocks. The bellow system is what makes the arms move on the beer drinkers. Let me see if I could show you. Of course, his arm is way up in the air way too much, and this guy needs to be glued back down. But we'll get there. The first thing that you want to do, if this is your first time repairing a cuckoo clock, is take pictures all the way around, especially of the movement and how the movement works. But you have to start off by taking the hands off. You got and that hand broke, which it doesn't surprise me because this clock is extremely old. This nut don't want to come off because of the it's stuck on there, so I'm going to have to put some oil on. I might be able to hold the shaft here and take it off. I didn't think so. I'm probably going to have to stick my fingers in these holes or put a screwdriver in the holes. because the shaft is rotating as I try to take the nuts off. It's still rotating. So in this case, I'm going to put some oil on the nut and let it soak for a while. So we'll get back after that oil has soaked. But in the meantime, and I haven't oiled it yet, I'm going to release the bird. The mug, it's not even, it don't have the staple on the door, so I don't need to release it, but I need to release the bird and take the bellows out and stuff like that. I got the bellows out. I'm wondering if this clock was, they had kind of like my house where they have clocks all over the place, where this was a display clock, because these chains are extremely short. There's only like 10 inches hanging out of the clock. I would almost be willing to bet that this clock was used for display purposes only because of the short excuse me, because of the short chains. They showed you how it worked a little bit, but they didn't have a excuse me, they didn't have enough room in their store. The reason why I say that is because I can't get the cuckoo to work. The time doesn't work. Everything is froze up. And this is going to be a first for me. I'm going to have to break away the hands, because once the hands is off, the nut will go through that door. So I'm going to break away the what's left of the hands. Or try to. Without tearing stuff up, which I might do that also. But I'm going to do that off camera so I could get closer to the clock without having this camera in front of me. The hands broke away, and now I can push the nut through the hole. I still have to disconnect the music box. And now I can get the chain links off. It was wound up tight and nothing would release. And so I had to do it the way I did it. The movement's out. Now I want you to see that this doesn't show a date code on it. But if you look at the door says 970. It's very possible that they had a movement left over prior to the date code system, but the clock was made per the door, if this is the original door, in 970. My Schmeckenbecher's Farmer's Daughter clock, the door is stamped 668 on the inside. Again, I believe this was a display clock. The music box is not wanting to work. I'm going to have to take the music box out and clean it also. There are screws, one here, and one here, that you take out to take the music box out. And this will provide the music box to come out on a wooden base, because these are wood screws. And then that music box will be screwed to that wooden base with metal thread screws. Voila, it's out. Setting the case to the side. The door to the side. My bubble wrap to the side because I don't need it anymore. And see what we have. Plastic wheel, fun. This thing's dirty as crap, but here are the two metal screws that I need to take out to take the music box out off this wooden platform. Had I known it was a display clock, I might not have bought it. There's the beer mug. I'm going to put this in my ultrasonic cleaner after I clean all this crap off. The ultrasonic cleaner is going to be on 35 degrees Celsius, and I'm only going to put it in there for a couple minutes, probably a minute at a time, and let it come out. And the reason why is because the music box has got dampers on them, and they are glued on. The dampers, these pieces right here at the end is called dampers. They're glued on, and that is what changes or softens. I'm not a music person, okay? I know what they're called. I don't exactly know what they do. I know they change the tone of the music. Damper. To me, that means soften. I don't know. The plastic wheel doesn't look cracked, which is a good thing. But I'm going to take the governor assembly off, and when I take it off, you understand why I'm taking it off after I show it to you. It's hard to do stuff with this camera in front of my face. I'm blind. I'm looking through magnifiers. Don't ever get old. So after I clean this up, I'm going to have to oil these pivots. So that's why I took this off. Because, and you want to take toothpicks to every pinion gear to get all the old oil out. But, you see how this thing's not turning? It should turn. And the reason why it don't turn is because it's been sitting in this clock for 50 years, and it's never been used. This oil is all dried up. So the point I'm trying to get across to you, the clock that I showed you that sold for $742, they claim new. It's never been used. It's in a box. The oil is dried up. It's not going to work. Unless they made the clock work every 6 months or whatever, the clock is not going to work. Unless you know how to work on the clock, you just got through spending $742. And luckily, if you found my YouTube channel, I show you how to service a clock. Or you're going to have to take the clock to somebody who will work on a musical cuckoo clock. Most clock repair people refuse to work on cuckoo clocks, especially musical cuckoo clocks. And when you find somebody, you're going to have to spend, depending on where you live, in the New York area, they charge a minimum of $350 to service a one-day cuckoo clock. So by the time you're done, you're going to have over $1,000 in that supposedly brand new cuckoo clock. The person that sold that clock advertised it falsely, in my personal opinion. Don't get me wrong. I hope the cuckoo clocks prices keep going up. But for the people who don't know cuckoo clocks, who don't watch my videos, that expecting a really nice, and these are really nice sought after cuckoo clocks. They probably expecting that clock to work. This shaft right here, which is the minute arbor center wheel, this is part of it. I should be able to, if you touch it with your fingers as I'm turning this, you could feel with your finger that shaft is moving. So I should be able to hold it with a pair of pliers and take this hand off. You could also see the wheel, the center wheel, move. So I should be able to stop one of these wheels to unscrew this nut. I'm going to take a small pair of vice grips and hold this shaft to take this nut off. And with me holding that shaft, I was able to take that nut off. I might have to touch up that shaft with some sandpaper or whatever, because the vice grips, tool marks. But the bird, the housing is cracked. They make them with metal housings and they make them with plastic housings. This one is plastic housing. This bird looks like crap anyway. I've got new birds. Time to take the movement apart. And because I'm going to take the movement apart and put in my ultrasonic cleaner, I got this wire basket that I'm going to be putting my parts in. Where do you want to start is totally up to you. I can't really do a function test because this thing is gummed up from it's been sitting for 30 years. So the function test will have to be done after it's all cleaned. Taking the rack off, now taking this E-clip off here to get to this washer. Here's the snail, this intermediate wheel, taking the spring that holds the rack stop lever off. I see there's a cracked wheel. I've got new wheels, and I'm going to explain what that crack does. If you give me a second. Loosening this screw has got to do with holding this arbor here on. That has got to do with tripping the music. Now there's a screw in the back here also. This wire is what stops the governor fan as it cuckoos the governor pan on the music box to allow it to cuckoo without playing the music. Taking the 8-point star wheel off. Hopefully this will come off easily. Again, I can't see. Finally. It came off easily, thank God. The arms, you could take all those springs and arms and stuff off. This bottom arm, which is a high note lever, the way it's made is so this part right here can go into the a beer drinker on the left side of the clock as you're looking at it. Now we got these special clips, and this is where the money it cost to buy this tool was well worth it. But typically you have to have a space between the clip and the movement. That way this tool can grab a hold of it. Again, I'm trying to do this with this camera in front of me. I need to put my eyes back on. You see how there's hardly any space? I need to make some space. The tool can't grab a hold of it. Now there's space. I should be able to grab a hold of it. Voila. Taking the lift lock lever off, that's what this is what starts everything into motion from this hurricane symbol, as Cheryl would call it. And then there's also the compression clip on this one, and there's no space, so you have to make space. That's where you tap it down a little bit. I show you how to make one of these tools. It works, but after a while, if you did like I did, and the teeth were the shaft. You see how small that shaft is? You have to get the shaft, both shafts, to where they're together and could fit in between those clips. Anyway, you have to be able to make a tool that can do that. I've made tools. I finally broke down and bought a tool. Using my nut driver to take the nuts off. And again, my nut driver is magnetic. It helps out a lot. It'd be plastic wheel. I'm going to discuss that, and then I'm going to finish taking this thing apart off camera. The plastic wheel that's on the great wheel that's cracked. Your clock can run all day long, and the minute hand might not turn. And the reason why is because that plastic wheel is cracked. If this plastic wheel is cracked, it might not be turning this wheel. Now you have to understand that after you get all these parts together working properly, if this plastic wheel is cracked, it could be slipping on the shaft. And so if your clock is ticking away but the hands aren't turning, it could be that plastic wheel being cracked. Now you could take some super glue and baking soda and repair it. I've done it. It works. But what you do is up to you. Anyway, I'm going to finish taking this movement apart off camera. I've got videos on taking the movements apart, explaining what every part does. I don't want to make this video longer than what I feel it needs to be. I hope y'all are enjoying this video, and we'll come back after the parts are out of the cleaner. FYI, when I buy a clock, whether it's off Marketplace or eBay or wherever, I name a boulder on my computer, seeing how much I paid for it. E Schmeckenbecher Hofbrauhaus beer drinkers clocks that I bought off eBay for $68.71. It says the date that I created the boulder. And then I save every picture of that listing within that folder. That way when I get to the clock to repair it, I know whether or not it had weights or a pendulum or what kind of damage it had, etc. It also helps me if I buy a clock off of eBay and I get it and it's different from what the picture showed on the listing. I have an argument or a claim that I can make to the person that sold it to me. And so I bought this clock back in April. It's August now. I'm just now getting to it. And so I couldn't remember whether it had the weights or the pendulum or whatever. And so this is a good idea for you to do if you're going to collect clocks. Parts are out of the cleaner. Even with them being in the cleaner, the governor assembly wouldn't work. I ended up taking the governor fan off. There was dried up oil all over this plastic wheel. So now I got that cleaned off. Now I'm going to put the governor fan back on. And the hole at the bottom is not an issue. But the hole at the top, there's two different holes at the top of this governor assembly. Let me see if I can find a small toothpick. There's this hole right here. In the middle. And then there's a hole on the end. The upper pivot goes on the hole on the end, not the one in the middle. The one in the middle is, sometimes you can move this ring and oil it, but not in this case. Anyway, you have to make sure that you put the system, and it just takes a little bit of pressure to lift this up and put it in the hole on the end. Which I haven't got it there. Again, there it is. It should be turning, but it's not. I'm going to have to do some more cleaning to this thing. And it also might be the plastic wheel has to be offset from the shaft. I don't want to break this plastic wheel. One would think that it has to be directly over the shaft, but that's not the case. It has to be offset from the shaft. Let me fix it without this camera in my way, and I'll show it to you. Taking the governor fan back off, as you can see, it spins freely without the governor fan on. The hole is dirty from the gummed up oil. Again, this thing I don't believe was ever used, or if it was used, it was a display clock. It was used very little. First thing, this thing has worked in probably 25, 30 years. Now on to the main part of the music box. I took this off just so I can get to it easier. I need to put this back on. Now this screw only tightens down so far. This thing has to be able to swivel back and forth. So don't try to force it, you'll break it. Of course, this spring needs to go back on it. And there's a notch where that spring goes. Except for I must have it upside down because it doesn't want to go in that notch, so I'm going to flip it over. I had it upside down. Well, it was working. I think the spring is getting worn out. Now going on to the music box. First of all, you can see that there's a tine missing off the comb. And whether you want to replace that comb or not, it's totally up to you. Now, some people have really good ears and are really good musicians, and they can hear every note in a song. I don't. I'm not worried about that tine right now myself. I'm worried about trying to get this clock to work. Now I want you to also notice something else. There's one hole in this drum. That means the music only plays on the hour. Okay? Where there's no teeth, that's the end of the song right here. And the beer mug needs to be going back into the case, but it's not. It's doing it while it's still playing teeth. So I suggest that you take a marker of some sort, and that way you know for sure where the end of the song is. And I know for sure where the end of the song is because I just got through marking the drum. And so you have to, there's screws on this housing. You have to loosen up those screws. In this case, there's one screw. Sometimes there's two. And once you loosen up that screw, you can turn this wheel. You see how the beer mug went back inside? It's because he's on that, the spring is what pushes him outside. If he's not going outside enough for you, then put a bend in the spring so it touches the wheel, and it'll go outside for you further. Okay? So what I want you to do is turn this wheel around until the music stops, because I got a mark. I can move this thing back and forth now, And then I'm turning this wheel, and then I'm going to tighten up that screw. Not over tightening, and then test it again. I don't like where it's sit. I want him to go back in the box before that. It's he's coming back inside the box. He's coming back inside the box. Towards the before the next song starts. So I need to do this all over again. So right here's the end of the song. That's where I'm going to hold the drum. I'm going to turn this, rotate it back. That's where I want it. Tighten up the screw and test it. I'm happy with that. You see where it came back in the box at the very end of the song, which is right there. Again, if you want him to come out further, if you want him to come out that far, all you have to do is bend. Let me grab a small pair of pliers. Is put a bend in this wire here so he comes up further. Yeah, you could bend this wire too, but I like bending the end wire. So now it's time to put the governor assembly on here, put a chain on it, and see if it's going to work. I hate doing long videos, and I hate doing two-part videos. I might speed up this video. But as the music turns, I want to show you something. When it's done playing the very last note, the governor fan should stop. And if it doesn't, I'm going to explain what happens. And you're going to fixing to see it. There, it went in, but it's still turning because that lever is not stopping the fan blade. So now, this lever that goes in the hole, it's in the very back. In order to get this lever out, it won't easily go out. So, there's adjustments that you can make on this thing to make it stop immediately. But I find that bending things on brass parts kind of sucks. You see, the governor fan is still turning, but it can't hardly turn because this lever is all the way in the brass hole. And to get it out of that brass hole, your clock is not going to be able to do it. See, I'm putting pressure on it. It's not getting it out of that brass hole. It takes a lot of pressure to get out of that brass hole. You see how the piece of brass is riding this raised piece of brass? It should be closer to that raised piece of brass. again, it's hard to get that out. So I'm going to make some adjustments. Do you see? I bent this brass piece down so it rides that raised brass. That raised brass is what pushes it back into the hole. And B, I bent this arm here, so now the governor band is touching it, but I bent it too much, so I need to back it off just a little bit. That way the music can play while it's in motion. So now it's playing music. Hopefully when it goes in the hole, it stops immediately, or I gotta make some more adjustments. Which it did. It stopped immediately, and now that thing easily comes out of the hole. Sorry, my big fat fingers were in the way. So I'm going to show you again. But when it comes out of the hole, it has to ride on top of that raised piece. Immediately goes into the hole. It's easy to come out of the hole, and when it comes out of the hole, it rides on that top piece. But it went back into the hole, and so I have to bend it a little bit more down, I believe, so it rides on that brass piece, which it should come off that brass piece, which it does. Again, I'm sorry, I'm doing things, and I'm moving the camera out of the way from your view, but then it'll go back into that hole, and then when it's tripped, it's riding on that brass piece again. And then if you continue to watch it, it's going to come off that brass piece right about there, and now it's riding along that raised brass piece, and that raised brass piece along with the spring, because the spring is pushing it so it goes toward the hole, but the raised brass piece is designed that it puts it in the hole. And the governor band is stopped because I bent this piece right here to make it stop. So the music box is done. I have a 320 gram weight on it. This wire getting in the way. Stops. Music box is done. Now, I've talked about this product before. I have a friend and group member and YouTube subscriber who's been using Mother's Mag and aluminum polish for years, and he will sit here with Q-tips and polish up every little part on a clock. And at the end, his stuff looks mirror finish. My hands hurt too much to do that. So I applied some Mother's with this rag. I took my Dremel, and it's shiny. It's not as good as what Sir Lucky. He started off calling me Master, and so I started calling him Grasshopper from the TV show Kung Fu. But now I call him Sir Lucky, or LC, from the TV commercial with the leprechaun and the cereal Lucky Charms, because he is one of the luckiest people I know when it comes to buying cuckoo clocks. Anyway, this is what it looked like to start with. This is what it looks like now. The only part that I'm concerned about is the very back. And now you can see Schmeckenbecher, regular, made in Germany, and the numbers and 25. It's not as nice as what Sir Lucky would do, but it's good enough for me. And now I have to I'm going to put some Renaissance wax on this, let that dry, and then I'm going to take toothpicks to every one of these holes to get all the dirt and old oil out of the holes. And I will put the toothpick in my drill bit. I believe in doing the things the most simplest way possible. Using my drill bit is a lot better than using my hands. Again, I've talked about this before. I've had tests done twice where they shock your hands, check for carpal tunnel. The doctor that does it twice told me, Mark, you got the worst carpal tunnel I've ever seen. You need to have an operation, because if you don't, when you get old, A, the operation might not work, and B, you're going to hurt like a son of a gun. Well, I chose not to have that operation. And all you do is take a toothpick, stick it in your drill, put that toothpick in a hole, turn your drill on, and keep doing that until you're satisfied that the holes are clean. This is what it started out looking like, and this is the other half of the toothpick, and then I sharpened it, and it's not that dirty anymore, so I'm satisfied. This is 25 years plus of oil buildup, dried oil buildup. And the ultrasonic cleaner doesn't get hard to reach spots such as those pivot holes. And that is with the movement taken apart. Guess what it's going to do with the movement together? And after you cleaned out every hole, pivot hole on the movement, don't forget you're not done with your toothpicks. This is the cuckoo bird shut-off lever. And if there's gunk and crap in that hole, it's not going to drop easily. So while you have your toothpicks out, clean it up. Be stale, clean it up. And you might have to manipulate it for the toothpick to hit it. The rack, clean it up. Because you want all the stuff to fall easily. You see how dirty my toothpick is? I think it was from the rack. It is question time. Which one of these is the time side and which one of these is the strike side? The answer, because it's a one-day cuckoo clock, this one right here is the strike side. On a one-day cuckoo clock, the 8-point star wheel goes on the number one wheel on the strike side, which is this side right here. I'm pretty sure I said one day. On an 8-day cuckoo clock, this goes on to the second wheel. I'm pretty sure. I've been sitting here too long. I'm second guessing myself. The 8-day movement, 8-point star wheel goes on the second wheel. So I told you right. The plastic wheel that is on the great wheel of the 1-day cuckoo clock is on the second wheel of an 8-day cuckoo clock. 8-day, 34 regular. You can tell it's an 8-day cuckoo clock because an 8-day cuckoo clock has the great wheel is always the first wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4 to include the escapement wheel. Wheels in the train on the strike side. 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels in the train on the strike side. Again, I need to take a break. 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels on the time side. 8-day cuckoo clocks have 4 wheels on each side. 1-day cuckoo clocks have only got 3 wheels. The last thing I'm going to show you before I take a break, this is that plastic wheel that goes on the time side great wheel. This wheel is cracked. It is cracked in one complete place and maybe a hairline crack over here. With the wheel off, some liquid super glue. This is a last case scenario type thing. Put some liquid super glue. I know I got some of the stuff open. Stand by. Put some liquid super glue on the wheel in the inside of this section here. You want to make sure it gets all around the crack. Then sprinkle some baking soda on it. Blow it off. Do the same thing to the other crack. Let it dry. I'm going to put some on the back of it. Staying away from the gears, the teeth. And I forgot to say while you're holding the crack together. Now you should be able to put this on the wheel and it fits tight, but it don't. So in this case, you're going to have to put another wheel on it. Again, as this thing rotates, you know, if this starts spinning on you, the clock will tick all day long, but your hands will not move because this is spinning. If I would have caught this crack in time, the super glue would have worked. If I would have squeezed harder, the super glue would have worked. But it's been a long night. I want to try it again, squeezing harder. I don't know why I'm doing this other than to show y'all, because I bought these wheels. They're only like 50 cents or $1 or something like that from Time Savers. Now let's see if it fits on there tightly. Still spins. I'm going to get a new wheel out. Stand by. Like I said, I have brand new ones. There's part number 20921-3. Now, I don't know whether the cup size goes up or the cup size goes down, so stand by. The movement I looked at, it didn't have a cup, so I'm going to put the cup size up. You see how hard it is to put that thing on? That's what you want. And I don't know how far to put it down. So I'm estimating. See, this thing don't turn. And therefore the clock hands will turn. This, because of the cracks, is spun around on this shaft, so the clock hands won't turn. That's enough for right now. I hope y'all are enjoying this video. Please subscribe, leave me some comments. It takes a lot out on me to make these videos, but I have to repair my clocks, and I have questions all the time, so I make these videos to try to answer those questions.